James, we're not walking the dog. Let him go. Let his leash. Outside, you need his leash. But right now, we gotta get to class.
With this dog? It's a dog.
Because he's awesome. I mean, he is awesome. All right, so we gotta start. 12:1. We're talking about geometric drawing. And you're late. Come on, get notes, get a protractor, get a compass, get a ruler. Like, where you been?
I was here.
Hey, Josh, I got it. So,
I already did this.
Okay, can I see your notes then? If you already did this, if you got online and you did the whole thing, I need to see your notes are done.
Yeah, I got 85 on it.
Sweet. The one on the back, you might want to come back for the one above.
Okay.
Then you haven't done it, so get a copy of the notes and sit down.
I did the homework. I just
Ruler,
didn't.
protractor, compass, all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you're good. I got a handheld sharpener. There's the one back there. Okay, we need to talk about different symbols in geometry. So when it asks you, how would you draw a rectangle, I bet most of us would probably draw a four-sided shape like this. Hey, if we can't focus while Saul's in here, Saul won't be in here. So, this is not yet technically a rectangle, though, because we are making assumptions. If somebody tells you, hey, that's a rectangle, there's a lot in your head that you're thinking. But to show somebody geometrically that that's a rectangle, we need to show all that stuff. So what are other relationships that happen in a rectangle that we could notate here? Like, how do these sides meet up with each other? What about the lengths of the sides compared with each other? What about if the sides are parallel or if they're going to touch eventually? What about all that stuff? So I obviously have a whopping amount of volunteers right now.
Yeah.
Acacia, is there anything else that you know about a rectangle?
That they have two sets of parallel sides.
So this set is parallel with that, or that edge, sorry, that side. And this side is parallel with that side. Since they are different directions, we use different arrows. So either one is doubled and the other single, or one would have a bottom on it and the other one doesn't. Something like that. So we show my verticals are parallel and my horizontals are parallel. Very good. Leah, is there anything else we know about rectangles? There are right angles. Very good. We notate that with little boxes in the corners. We actually moved them all over to here because I was having people just grab their own. Nice. So, there's still more we need to notate. Sarah, what else do we know? Okay, what about those sides, though? You know anything specific about, like, if I tell you the length of the top is 5 inches? Don't write this. But if I told you that the length of the top edge was 5 inches, what else would you know? So, what we actually know and what we can notate, this edge is congruent to this edge, and likewise, this edge over here, I can do a double line, is congruent to this edge over here, and I can do another double line. That would be all of our notation to show that this is a rectangle. So here's what you're trying to pick up here. When lines make a right angle, and a lot of us have issues identifying this, so this is why we're taking a second to do this, that means that this relationship is perpendicular so please write the word perpendicular on there. And that can be represented by the symbol, an upside down T, tells you that two lines are perpendicular. Yeah, or if you use the little box, but the upside down T also tells you that lines are perpendicular to each other, that they make a right angle. Yeah.
On the mastery, I know Carolyn and I both had problems on question 21.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like, just wanted to like, cause we didn't know what to do.
I think he just remembered.
Yeah, I just remembered that.
So now's not really quite an appropriate time to talk about this. So and I have your masteries graded. I'm waiting for a couple more people to get theirs done before I really want to hand them all back. So hopefully I can hand them back to you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Once you get it back, let's talk.
Okay.
Because now's not really an appropriate time to talk. We're in the middle of stuff. Any questions on this? Any of the notations we use? The fact that these tell me that they're congruent. These tell me that they're parallel. Actually, we should also notate these sets of arrows show that they're parallel, which can also be represented by the symbol, like two diagonal lines that are shown that don't touch. That's the symbol for parallel.
I like that.
So perpendicular, they meet in a T. Parallel, they never meet. Any other questions here?
That helps.
But another thing is they're not like, in a way it's not.
What?
I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say. It's not symmetrical. Like if it's not symmetrical,
What do you mean it's?
it's the rectangle.
It
Or
could
like
be.
shape.
If I drew a line straight down the center,
But it wouldn't be
there,
parallel.
Wait,
over in the
is this
bin.
one
It wouldn't be
Well,
parallel.
Hi,
then.
Brady.
Can I see the notes?
It wouldn't be parallel.
What?
Like if you had the line like on the top, like if you have one on the top and one on the bottom, they're usually parallel. Like if they're straight. And
Yeah.
but it would be perpendicular if one's on the side and one's on the bottom or one's on the top.
Yeah, like these lines are perpendicular. These lines are parallel. So as long as we're good on that, we're good. So we now want to draw a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of perpendicular sides. What does quad mean?
4.
4. So we know it's 4-sided shape.
Like a square.
Sweet. With this, you might want to hang close. We'll be doing that like in the last 5 or 10 minutes of class. Otherwise, just do anything academic. And you can go over to Goldring's room if you want.
I'm gonna use the restroom.
So, to be perpendicular, make that right angle. Because we don't know anything about side lengths. So let's make a right angle. And show it with the right angle box. Does it tell me anything else about the shape?
It has one pair.
One pair of perpendicular sides, I did that. It's a quadrilateral, so it's got 4 sides. So guys, I have like a million options here. My other 2 sides could be that. But, so you said square, it can't be a square. Because that'd be more than one perpendicular.
Oh, that looks
It
weird.
could be, if that lined up, but I goofed it up. If I got that to line up, let me try
Hey,
again.
gravity works.
No, not on the smartboard.
You go on Google
So if I do that, but if these aren't perpendicular, they could not be perpendicular. So that'd have to be like an 89-degree angle or 88, something smaller. I could also go inside the shape and do like that. As long as I make 2 more sides, it's fine. So I've got a ton of options here.
Looks like a boomerang.
Now,
That could be a thing.
B asks for 2 pairs of parallel sides, but no right angles. So 2 pairs of parallel sides, well, first thing in my head is a rectangle. But if I'm not allowed to have any right angles,
It has to have 4 sides.
it has to have 4 sides. What sort of shape would this be, Leah?
I don't know what they're called, but they're like a
Parallelogram.
Like a slanted rectangle,
that
right?
does work.
It's a parallelogram.
So much
That's
fun.
my favorite word.
And there's a really cool
My
trick.
favorite
You
word is
can cut off one
tuberculosis.
end of it,
Well, it's my favorite
and
word
then
when
you
it comes
put
to
the
shape.
other to make a rectangle.
I also like
So
that.
here's what's up. Here's how you got to make sure you draw a parallelogram. Hopefully you're working in a pencil so you can erase. The lines that I make diagonal, I got to make sure that the slope I have on that line matches, because here, watch, give me your eyes for a second. If I do this, do these slopes match each other?
Yeah.
Not quite, and they don't look quite right. So I need to chop off a little bit of my top line and try this again to get those to match. It's a little closer, still a little goofed up.
It looks the same to me.
No,
You
no,
look
the
so good.
It's close. I'm not saying it's bad.
I will hit your elbow.
Here's the thing, though. It's pretty much impossible for us to get this perfect. So we notate it. So we say red is parallel to red, and blue is going to be parallel to blue. So this is our parallelogram.
I hate how long that word is.
Yeah.
my favorite shape.
What?
I'm sorry. I
In
learned
the
this
bin.
about from
How long have you been in
I
here
already
without
spelled it wrong.
notes?
I
I was wondering how long
I was
were
waiting.
you gonna wait?
I was waiting until you.
Dude, you know where stuff are kept. No, Math 7 all the way over to the left. Math 7, look at the tags. There you go. So you got some catching up to do, man. You might need to copy off somebody else. Try the got it. Another type of quadrilateral, but now we want one pair of parallel sides.
What is that?
There's also
Oh, there it is.
That's what it says.
Hey Zion, we get it. So if I have a pair of parallel sides,
Okay.
but I can't have my other sides be parallel. Now remember, I can erase extra if I need to.
Ooh.
But Josh,
No.
what kind of shape?
trapezoid.
This makes what looks like a trap. Have you ever seen a live animal trap?
Nope.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
So this is our trapezoid. Make sure you label that as a trapezoid. Now I gotta sit down to do this next part because it's gonna involve drawing with your compasses and things like that. So I need to have those same tools as you. So I've just got all the same tools that you guys do,
On your.
and a little projector.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
So-
Like,
Here's my desk.
Pop that.
So I need So we need a parallelogram, just like what we just talked about. But I have two 3-inch sides, two 4-inch sides, two 60-degree angles, and 220-degree angles. So, my advice for drawing shapes. Can you draw an angle without any lines? So, do you think we should start by drawing a side or by drawing an angle?
side.
A side. To draw an angle, we got to have a side to work with. So, my advice, start with the longer side you've been given. So I'm going to take my straight edge. And it says 4 inches, but I'm actually going to use centimeters. If you want to change your units to centimeters, you can. That's up to you.
Oh, Tom.
Wait, Mr. Hudson,
Yeah.
isn't a straight edge the one that has like two?
A straight edge is technically not a ruler because a straight edge would be unmarked. But this counts as a straight edge, but it's a straight edge ruler.
Okay. Because I thought straight edges had like, they look made right.
So, start from 1 to 4 and make a line for us to start with. Label that as 4 units. And if you just want to say units, that's fine.
You know what?
Or you could say centimeters if you're using centimeters. Now we can choose which angle. I'm going to start working in a pencil because if I make a mistake, I don't want to be in pen.
How many?
So we take our protractor.
Oh my
We
god.
first make sure that we can read it. So it says view through, guys, what's the issue? None of them are sharp. If you don't bring your own tools, you got to sharpen it yourself.
Okay.
Everybody should have 3 pencils in their pencil pouch.
They have told us that so
I
many
don't have
times.
So,
three. I have
The easy way, yeah, so I'm not going to waste any more of my time entertaining the fact that he wasn't ready. The easy way to do this, in my opinion, start at the left point. So this point right here, I'm going to darken it up a little bit. I'm going to put that point on the T of my protractor. But now, Josh, stop. I'm actively teaching, and you're talking over top of me? Do you understand that that's disrespectful? Do you understand that you shouldn't be doing that right now? Do you understand that I already have a lack of voice? Come on, man. Making things harder than they need to be. To determine which set of numbers I use, how do I decide here whether I'm using my inner or my outer set? Where's my 0? My 0 is my inner set of numbers. So since my baseline goes through the 0, I use my inside set. I'm going to do my 60-degree angle because it's easier. It's the first one that I get to. So make a mark right there. You can pull this away. So I know from this point to that point will be 60 degrees. Now, I need to only make that edge a length of 3. So I'm going to go from that point to that point, but only extend it 3 long.
So how long is that angle actually? Because it's not actually 4 inches, correct?
It's not how long the angle is. Oh, the base? I made it 4 centimeters. I'm just working in centimeters instead of inches so the camera can be closer.
Okay.
So that's why I labeled it for you as 4 units. You can be working in inches if you want.
So this is just a really small drawing.
Yeah, it's a small drawing of what you are drawing. Notice, I did not go all the way to the point that I had marked, but I didn't need to, because to be a length of 3 units, I had to stop right here. Make sure you label that this is 60 degrees. I then need to make my angle off the other end of my base side. So we come over here, line it up on the end point, make sure that we're straight. And again, look for your 0. Now, my line goes to the left. My 0 is in the outer set of numbers. So I will use my outer set, and I need a 120-degree angle. So take the outer set all the way around to the 120, and I'm going to mark it. Because I'm using the outer set, that's my 120. Pull that away, and again, I need to connect that, but only make it 3 long. 3 of whatever units you're using. So line up from endpoint to endpoint, but then only go to the 3. So I actually start at the 3, and then I go back to where I was.
It almost looks 3D.
And again, label that 3 units, and actually drawing at an angle is how you make things look 3D, so that would make sense. If we've done this right, and of course we need to label this, if we've done this right, I can connect this endpoint to this endpoint, and that line will measure 4 of whatever units I'm using. And miraculously, kapow, it measures out to be 4, so I connect them. And then I also want to notate this is parallel to that. This is parallel to that. This is the same length as this. And these are the same length as that. Sorry, I forgot my degree symbol here. If I'm labeling everything, this would also be 120 degrees, and this would also be 60 degrees, and this would also be 4 units, if I want to label all of it. Any questions on how we drew that? Based on my suggestion, look at this first example here. We got to determine, can we draw this, and then how? So it says a rectangle with 2 sides of 4 inch, 2 sides of 2 inch. What else does it actually tell me by saying rectangle? That my sides have to be parallel when they're opposite.
And that one part's going to be longer than the other. No, like-
yeah, but not necessarily, because a
size.
square is a rectangle.
4 sides.
4 sides, yeah, quadrilateral. Do they tell me anything about the angles?
No.
That's a
They have
right
me
angle.
all writing this.
If it's a rectangle, they do tell me that the angles have to be right. So when I start to draw this, I know that I need perpendicular sides. But again, if they say 2 sides of 4 inch, 2 sides of 2 inch, which sides would I advise you to start with?
Probably the 4 inches.
The 4. Ignore that this is in centimeters. I'm going to label it inches just because I like how close this drawing is. So 4, I'm going to label that inches and just lie about it. Then to make my 90-degree angle, well,
That's so much
again,
better.
drop your protractor on the end point, line it up perfectly. Do not let, you guys, even that far off will screw up your shape. Even that far. So I need to make sure that my line is on top of my line. My line should essentially disappear under the other line. And that's why we bold up our endpoints, so that I can see the endpoint when I put my T on top of it. I want to be able to see that endpoint still. See what I mean? I can see that endpoint. So now mark at your 90 degrees. I'm going to go ahead over to the other side and mark my 90 while I have my protractor. Line it up perfectly. Mark that 90. Now again, you don't need to connect all the way. How long should these sides be? The verticals?
It should be 2 inches.
2 inches. I'm actually going to flip this around and then go, make sure that you're connecting through that line though, or through that point. So from the end point through that point, but my ruler connects those. I do not make my side connect those because I only want this to measure 2.
We can like make a drawing that is like a smaller version of that, right? Like, it doesn't
Yeah, you just
say-
have to label it as if
Okay,
it was
yeah.
4 inches, 2 inches, whatever.
I was just making sure. 4 inches is kind of big today.
And then I could even sometimes just do the math. If my ruler is the wrong direction, if I line this up at 5, to go 2 up, I would have to go to the 3, based on how that's lined up. So that line is now too long. Even though I don't start at 0, I know the distance between 5 and 3 is 2. So that is 2. Again, I'm lying about my units. I'm using centimeters, but I'm labeling it inches. If I did this right, top of this line should line up with top of that line, and they should be 4 inches. Wha-bam. There you go.
Oh,
And we got to label our right angles. Parallel and congruent markings. Obviously, I'm not an artist. I'm not looking for perfection. My drawings are pretty raw.
So like this.
It's not as good
I
as
can-
that.
If you guys want to see perfection, who in here's on Instagram? Yeah, I'll throw my sister's Instagram handle up on the chalkboard at some point. I gotta check what it is. Yeah, she's the artist of the family. So her art is awesome.
how old is he?
She is 2.5 years older than I am.
Oh, this is like
So she'd kill me if I told you, but she's almost 30.
not that bad.
That's old.
Well, women more than men tend to care about their
Uh-huh.
age.
For
And every
some
multiple
reason.
of 10 is a big deal for some reason.
Did
I
you just say that's
mathematically
old?
understand that every year is only as important as the
Caleb
previous
said that
year.
was old. What the heck?
You joking?
No,
Yeah,
he
it's
wasn't.
a joke. 30's not old. But that's when people start to be like, oh, my youth is gone.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
my
All right,
dad's 50.
let's
but
check out our
he's
next
only
example.
50. My dad
Let's
goes
try
from
it.
the
Now,
That's old.
it's really corny.
Ah, no. Not
But-
really.
No matter how hot or cold it is outside, on the inside of a triangle, it's 180 degrees. So let's talk about this next problem. A triangle with two 100-degree angles. So, does it tell me anything about the length of my base? No, it just says a triangle, 200-degree angles. So let's start drawing. Start by drawing a straight line. Come on. You guys all got your straight line base? Hey guys, we're in math class, right? I don't come to your basketball practice, interrupt that. I don't come to your house and interrupt your video games. Can we please have math class?
How long did you make it?
Doesn't matter. They didn't tell me a length, so it doesn't matter.
I'm making.
So my length of this really is who cares?
I'm gonna make it 5.
I
made it. That's really long.
Now what I do care is my angles. And if you're laughing and carrying on and not paying attention, you might do wrong. How do I determine which set of numbers I use? Where I go through the zeros. So look at where your line lines up. That's on the right side, at least if you're doing it with me. That 0 is the inner set of numbers. Using the inner set, I go to the 100, which is way over here. Mark that. Move to the right. Now I'm using my outer set of numbers, and going to my 100 is going to be over here.
Wait, what angle do we start on?
So we are starting at this vertex.
Yeah.
We set our T on it.
Yeah.
Then line up your line. My line goes through 0 on the inner set. So that's the set I use to find that 100. And I go to here.
Yeah.
Then I move over to the right and I do the same thing, but I'm using the outer set.
Oh.
So now I go through to find my 100 on the outer set, and I mark it over here. So now, again, lengths don't matter. If I draw up there, and I draw
This
from
ain't gonna be no
endpoint through
It's not a triangle.
there,
Oh, yeah, it is.
exactly how Acacia just said it.
But that's not a triangle.
Does this shape close?
That's a very special triangle.
It's not a triangle. So with this being 100 degrees and that being 100 degrees, that's not a triangle. Because somewhere on your paper, please write out the rule. Do you know the rule, Josh?
That if it has more than 3
No.
sides.
So please stop talking.
That's not true.
Carolyn?
Triangles must have 3 sides and corners.
All interior angles. So we can use the symbol for angles if you want. All interior angles in a triangle
Must be the same.
must no. Stop. If you'd like to teach, like I said. Josh, I'm writing the words that you're saying, which are not the right words. Guys, it's not funny. You'd be kicked out of class by now at a normal school. We just have a lot of patience. What did I say? What about the poster?
That's always going to be 180 degrees instead of triangle.
They got a sum add up to 180 degrees.
Oh, that's cool.
So these, when I look at 100 and 100, already make 200. And that's way too much. And I don't even have 3 angles. I only have 2. So obviously, that cannot be a triangle. The lengths don't matter, but regardless of the lengths, they're never going to connect. I got too big of angles. Any questions on why that is not a triangle?
Wait, so in a triangle, if you add up all the sides, it becomes
All the angles.
Oh.
Now this is where it gets fun. Ruler and a protractor, draw a figure with 2 sides 1 inch, 2 sides 3 inch, and at least 1 right angle. So, here's where I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to save us some time and not have you guys investigate, because I'm going to tell you the trick here. We're not making a rectangle. Now, that would be the easy way out, right? I could real quickly, do not draw this, but I could real quickly, boom, 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 3, 1, 1, 3, yay, I made a rectangle.
Woo.
That's not what we want to do. We want to be more creative than that. So, let's start with our 1-inch sides and make a right angle with those. So I'm actually going to use my inches. I'm going to start a new sheet of paper.
Then just make a right angle.
So 1 inch. Yeah, hey guys in the other room.
Brady. Brady.
Especially if you didn't see the whole 1 inch,
Ready.
3 inch problem. So I got 1 inch, and in a right angle with it, I'm pretty good at making perpendicular.
Come here.
We're on the back now. This is that's
calling you,
cool.
child. It's not to annoy you.
We're on the back now.
So it's trying to focus.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is why I had. Okay. Guys, I need to stop with the side chatter. If you need help, please let us know. Otherwise, you need to be with us. Now, I have to make these sides connect. I can't just throw down any old 3-inch side. Do not draw this. Watch what I do. Eyeballs on the board. So, if I don't know what angle to take, and I just say, okay, here's a 3-inch side out to there. Then I go try to connect it. This will not, I was too good on that. I know what I'm shooting for. So if I went a 3-inch side out to here,
That's okay.
and then I try to connect this end point. Zoom up a little bit. So I've got options. Hold on, it'll come back. So this is 3 inches. I just measured this. But if I try to connect that endpoint over to here, that's more than 3 inches.
Right.
That doesn't work. So the issue is I need to look at where are my possibilities of 3 inches. Now I know that this is 3 inches away. I could also, from this endpoint, measure 3 inches. So take your ruler and from each endpoint, just kind of sketch a side that would be 3 inches. Make sure that you have the end point. So they don't have to connect.
Okay.
I just want 2 3-inch connections.
I'm gonna go back.
Here's where we could use our compass, and I'm going to show you why that would be annoying, and why we're going to use this tool that I don't even know the name of. Mrs. Hummer, do you know the name of this?
The spinny.
It says safety.
Oh my god.
It says the compass.
Oh, it says safety
What's the
protractor.
metric?
It does call it a protractor. Interesting.
A safety protractor?
Obviously, that's what it says.
So, I'll show you guys why this is way better.
How's this one working?
Alright, check it out. Using this, don't do this, because you'll end up frustrated. Using this, the old method for preserving length, give me your eyeballs on the board, was I would arc out this length by putting my end point on my end point, my pencil tip here, I would stand this up, and I would, holding down the metal part, and keeping this from changing size, I would need to make an arc. And it would be very difficult, because as you push down, this wants to widen out, and you've probably spent a lot of time frustrated that this keeps changing size and won't do what you want. Anybody? Yeah? Anyone ever get frustrated with these?
Oh yeah, and then I just stopped using them.
Yeah, and then you stopped using them because they were annoying. Here's the easy way to do this. This tool will do the same thing. Check it out. Give me your eyes. Do not do this yet. Give me your eyes. From my end point right here. So I have this end point. I'm going to make it red so it's really easy to find. And this end point right here. I've measured out 3 inches up to this point right here. I can look at all possible 3-inch outcomes if I hold this hole on the end point of my 1-inch and then find one of these holes, and I might need to rotate it a little bit, that perfectly lines up with the end point of my 3-inch. Keep watching me, don't do this yet. What I then do is arc this. You got to make sure that you're holding your blue thing the right direction, and I'm hitting the base of my camera. But as I spin this, all of those points on that circle, if I were to measure from the end point to a point on that arc, it's 3 inches, or very, very close. I can do the same thing from the other end point right here, marked out to 3 inches. So that mark was, I don't know if you can see it, I'm looking for a hole to line up right there. Boom. And now I can arc that, and where those arcs touch, where they meet, that is my connection point that I can draw my line from here to this point, and that is 3 inches right here. And from that point to here, that is 3 inches.
Is this kind of just a little extra
Honestly,
thing?
it's kind of confusing.
No, that is how we actually make a kite.
Oh, that's how they make kite.
Can we do it? I've been,
Yeah, try it now.
I'm too scared.
I've been sitting in Friday Creative Auction wondering what the heck these things were for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I didn't go very
so
well.
confused.
Were you using the compass?
No.
Here's the other really cool relationship that could blow your mind.
Oh no.
These, if I draw the lines through it,
If you got it right.
meet at a right angle. That is how you make your kite.
Oh.
Well, now I know.
Now you
Anyone need help? Stick up a hand.
Looks like a helicopter with a bag on the bottom. I'm still confused on it.
So I'm going to walk through the entire process again, actually. I'm going to go a little bit quicker, but if you're still confused, just watch this again. Okay?
Okay.
So I do my 1-inch and my 1-inch perpendicular to each other. Guys, I'm not talking over you. 1-inch, 1-inch. I'm pretty good at making perpendiculars. If you're not very good, use a protractor. So these are both 1-inch. Now I want to measure 3 inches out. I don't care where I go. It's actually easiest to kind of come down here. I mark a point from my end point 3 inches away. Boom. And then from my top one, I mark a point 3 inches away. And I want to be a little bit more towards the top on that one. Boom. Now what I do with those points, and this will be less confusing because there's less on here right now.
Good afternoon, Phoenix. Nathan Zinn, please come to the office. Nathan Zinn to the office. Also, tomorrow will be the last day to turn any pre-orders in for the author visit book sale.
Jaheim, don't
If
break
you
the
happen to
rule.
have a book order with you now, could you please drop it by the office? Thank you.
I line up this end point in the middle of this circle. Then I turn this part until one of those dots perfectly lines up with my green dot. So they get closer, closer, closer. That one's right on. Maybe if I turn autofocus back on, it will agree with me, maybe. So, give it a second. That green dot perfectly lines up there now. So I arc it, and that gives me possible 3-inch lengths away from that corner. That's like making a 3-inch radius. Essentially, you're making part of a circle. I do the same thing from the top point, line it up. Its green dot is up here. Boom. I found it in one of my holes. So I arc where those two arcs cross. that is the point that will be the end point or the final vertex of my shape. This, when I measure it, should be 3 inches. Wha-bam. And this, when I measure it, should be 3 inches. Wha-bam. Alright, your mastery for circles is tomorrow.
Circles.
Circle in the morning again.
No, why do we always have tests in the morning?
Yeah, you guys are first thing in the morning. I do not want to hear any complaints.
Well, I'll be sick that day. I
The